Welcome back to CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. We are joined by someone who just came off the CPAC stage, the great conservative Senator Marsha Blackburn. Thanks for joining us, Senator.
I am so delighted to be here with you all. CPAC is always great. I just did an interview walking off stage. They said, why should conservatives come to CPAC? I said, well, it's like going to church. You know, you go,
and look who
you
joined
get
us.
inspired.
I'm breaking up this conversation. How are you,
I'm good. I am good.
We just started, and the Senator was telling us about how going to CPAC is like going to church.
You get inspired.
You do get
And then
inspired.
when you leave and go back to your daily work, you should continue to do good things.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's a great lesson. I agree.
Yeah.
So what's your take so far? You've been here. I mean, I think it started off incredibly strong.
Oh, my
with
goodness,
Governor Ron
yeah.
DeSantis. We had Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Very strong start. What was your biggest message that you wanted the CPAC audience to learn?
I wanted them to understand that what we are seeing with parents, mama bears and grandmama bears and grandpapa bears, getting so energized over what is happening in the schools. You know, Mercy, I think a lot of people looked at this and said, hey, you may be throwing diversity, equity, inclusion on me at work, but you're not going to do it to my kid.
Right.
In school. And people are wanting to see education, not indoctrination. So we talked about that. I said, what we need is teachers, great teachers, and we have them, who are going to make it a part of their goal to rid the woke from the curriculum. And I think that we're seeing a sea change.
Right.
So I asked the crowd, Senator, our theme is awake, not woke.
Yeah.
You're not feeling too woke, are you?
No, I am very much awake.
Yeah.
And I think this crowd here is very much awake to what is happening in this country. And pardon me, I met the Loudoun County moms.
God bless them.
They are
Yes,
pistols. They are just pistols. So it was.
For us, that's real personal because we're raising our kids in Virginia.
Yeah.
And we had kind of given up hope on Virginia, as a lot of people had. And you know what? There's still a lot of us out there. And they finally realized that we've been saying, politics is really not what I want to focus on. Well, when it gets this bad, everyone's got to focus on it.
Everybody has to focus on it. And people love this country.
They do.
And people are ready to fight back. And people want every child to have their shot at the American dream and their shot at opportunities. And if you're going to have an education system that says we're an indoctrination system that is trying to reinvent history, then you're not going to see that for children.
Can I shift gears a little bit
Sure.
here? We obviously are seeing what's happening in Russia.
Yeah.
Going into Ukraine, we've seen dozens of reported deaths already of Ukrainians. They're basically saying the Ukrainian foreign minister was saying the army is ready. What can we expect coming out of this administration? What do you foresee in terms of what actions, and is it going to be enough what the administration's going to do along with our NATO allies?
What we have to realize is the administration should have done sanctions and sales of lethal aid last fall, and they chose not to do that. So they're a little bit behind, a lot behind.
Right.
But tomorrow, the NATO partners are going to meet. I think they will have a fairly strong response to this. We already have the state of emergency declared in Lithuania and Romania. I think you will begin to see that in those other old Soviet bloc countries. I think that we should be supportive of Ukraine and of President Zelensky. He's doing the right thing. He is challenging the Russia sitting in the USSR seat at the UN. The UN should take Russia off the Security Council. We should have Russia removed from the SWIFT system, banking system. We should immediately begin to drill on federal lands and offshore and go back to fracking and become a net energy exporter, as President Trump did, because energy, economy, these are things that are going to affect Russia. I think the interesting thing is going to be watching to see what China does in this, seeing if they go after Taiwan, seeing if they choose to prop up Russia and allow them access to their financial system.
You can really see that elections have consequences.
Very
and
much
we all
so.
feared that Joe Biden, whatever his state is, physically and mentally, that we worried that our enemies would view this as an opportunity to prey
Yeah.
on their neighbors. And unfortunately, we were already seeing it.
Yes, that's exactly right. And when somebody like Putin, who is a thug, Xi Jinping, the same category. You look at Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. They are the new axis of evil. They are. And they smell weakness in our foreign policy. And because of that, they're moving forward. President Trump was so wise in dealing with Putin. Putin wanted a 5-year renewal on New START, and he wouldn't give it to him. He said, I'll give you a year with conditions. Biden comes in, he gives him 5 years, no conditions. Nord Stream, Biden comes in, he removes the Trump era sanctions and no conditions. So as far as Putin is concerned, he's got a runway to go as long as he wants to go. So that's something that, as you said, elections have consequences, and this change in foreign policy is going to cost us higher prices at the grocery store, at the pump. China may try to mess with our supply chain. With us and our allies, we'll see fewer things on the shelves.
Well, you're seeing the stock market come down today,
Right.
and then you've also seen, I was talking to a young man who does a lot of work on supply chain logistics, and he was saying, I asked him, like, what's going on? He goes, oh, the Russians are just making my life a lot more difficult today. So think about that. Think about
Yes.
the enormous pressure that puts on our economy, on the small
Right.
businesses. They're the ones that are going to suffer the largest cost because of, you're seeing, in addition to what we've seen with the COVID pandemic, economic woes, and on top of that, an international crisis. I mean, how can this president even survive?
I think that when you look at his re-election chances, they are getting slimmer by the day, and even more so for the vice president.
Right.
Well, we have a great panel, which I won't make the senator comment on, but it's a panel that's focused on who the 2024 Democratic nominee will be. And that panel is called Send Him to Bed, Lock Her Up, and Send Her to the Border. Because it seems like
It made a lot of news, Senator.
it
made a
seems
lot of
like
news.
the pickings are slim on their side if they're going to pick a new guy or woman.
I think that it is slim pickings. They get slimmer every single day.
Yeah.
Because the left has been running the Democrat Party in recent years, and the American people are waking up and they're rejecting
They are.
this. They don't have a vision for the country. They have an agenda, a
Yeah.
to-do list.
I want to ask, as we're going to let you get back, because everybody wants to see you, and this hub is getting, you can hear it, it's about ready to open.
It
just
is, yes.
about an hour from now, we'll have a big welcome reception here with the thousands of people. It's a very diverse audience. Most of the national news media wouldn't comment on that.
Yeah.
You have a heart for making sure that women get involved in politics
Yes,
and
I
run
do.
for office. Tell our viewers about what you're up to.
Well, what we are working to do, haven't done it yet, is to start a super PAC that is going to be a how-to for women who are trying to figure out how
That's
to
great.
break into the political process. We want to give them the skill set, how they develop a campaign and pull together a message, and how they approach voters. And so many times I talk to women every single week who say, I would love to run for office, but I do not
Right.
know how to
Yeah.
do this, and I don't
Or I
know
don't know how to
where
raise
to
money,
go.
or I don't-
right.
yeah.
I don't know where to go. Can
Yeah.
you help me? And I finally thought, you know what? I'm going to do something about this to open those doors of opportunity for
Well,
women.
you're an inspiration. We have
sure.
the 5 daughters, and you're definitely inspiration for them and for us. You've been such a strong leader, and your voice is so important. In the
you.
conservative movement, we talk about the conservative movement, we call it the American movement.
That's right.
exactly right.
Very
We're
good.
not conservatives alone. It starts with being an American and being proud of the
Absolutely.
country.
Yes.
Thank you, Marsha Blackburn. Thank you for your
Thank you.
overwhelmingly strong conservative scorecard in the United States Senate, for your leadership. And you just heard she's not waiting for somebody else to do it. She's just going to do it herself.
That's
and
it.
that's kind of the mindset. That's a very American mindset. That's what we all got to do. We're going to be right back to America Uncanceled after this short break.
It is such an invaluable experience. Coming to CPAC is like coming home to family every single time you come here. You can go to some events, it is not warm and fuzzy. I come here, I feel like I'm home and with family. And because of CPAC, I have met so many people who will help me save America and save the people in my district. I have a healthcare expert now, a veterans expert, national security issue experts, and so many investors that can come into my district to help bring jobs, revitalize my communities. And I would never have been able to do that without CPAC. So being at CPAC is an incredible experience.
I'd not be excited for Trump, you know, he's coming back in 2024, gonna put America first. What's not to love?
It's fun to have conservatives from all over the country coming together, share best practices, see who the future leaders are, hear what current leaders are saying, what's going on in our country. So it's just a great place to come and get rejuvenated, get fired up about the conservative movement and, you know, where our country is heading.
Everything. I can't wait to hear the speakers. I'm looking super forward to hearing Ted Cruz and Candace Owens and of course President Trump. I'm really excited.
What gets me excited about CPAC is the ability to network and to meet individuals and get my message and word out there. Vote early, vote Eller.
Anybody ready?
Be a complete stop put to immigration legal and illegal. You know, the elites, they're flooding our workforce with low-skilled labor, and they're really transforming our country into something totally different than what our ancestors experienced. So that is the change I would most like to see in this country.
Gone too far to the left. I think the fact that you've got Democrats and conservatives coming here from all across the country that are interested in an alternative to the kind of liberal progressive policies that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are pushing. So I think there's a lot of optimism out there, and the Republican Party, and particularly the conservative movement, is offering an alternative that is looking very appealing to Americans.
Candace Owens, she's my favorite. Lauren Boebert, Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, and pretty much everyone who's here.
Welcome back to CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. Like literally CPAC Now, like CPAC is going on right now. And the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina literally sprinted over here after getting that crowd all kind of happy and hoppy over your really important message. Thanks for being with us. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson from the great state of North Carolina.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure last time. It's a pleasure this time. I'm sure.
Well, you honor us, and everybody comments about the heart you have for this moment we're in American history. Mm-hmm. Give our viewers a little insight into where you think how things are going in our country. Are you worried? Are you optimistic?
No, I'm not. I'm not worried at all. Certainly concerned. Concerned enough to do what we have so far, and team up with the people, partner with the folks that we've been partnering with to fight for this nation and our state. But I'm not worried at all, because as I travel across my state and as I travel across the country, I see great patriots everywhere that are willing to stand up for what's right. You know, because that's what Americans always do. We stand up for what's right, and when we see things going wrong, we fix it. And right now, there are a lot of things going wrong, and there are people that are going to fix it.
So, Matt, I got to hear the Lieutenant Governor's speech because I was like, I am not leaving the room. And you were so inspirational. You talked about your mom, and there was such a beautiful message that came out of that story. Can you share that with our viewers?
Well, you know, my mom was a very special woman. She had a lot of adversity in her life, but my mom never quit. And when things got the toughest for my mom, that's when my mom did her absolute best work. I remember when my father died, I was around 11 or 12 years old. I was very afraid. I was a time in my life I was very afraid. I didn't know what was going to become of us. But my mom, like I said in the speech, my mom really stepped up. And my mom just she made such a wonderful life for us with the few scraps that she had, because she was a woman who epitomizes what Americans do. When they face adversity, they fight back, they stand up, and they do what's right. And that's exactly what she did.
And you said lean forward, right? As Americans, we got to lean forward.
That's it. We got to, you know,
fight back.
That's right. We got to lean forward and fight back. And
I was paying attention. At
absolutely.
Your speech. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
He also has this part. I don't know if you used these words in this speech, but I've heard you talk before about regretting not having fought at the end of your life. I think there's a lot of Americans who are looking back on things and said, why did I get in that game?
That's right. There's a wonderful line in the movie Braveheart. Braveheart's my favorite movie. And it's a wonderful line in that when Mel Gibson's character says, dying in your bed many years from now, would you be willing to trade all of the days from this day to that for just one chance to come back here and tell our enemies that they can take our lives, but they won't take our freedom? Amen. And that's exactly how I feel about it. When I become an old man, I don't want to have to look at my grandchildren and tell them that I wasn't a man enough, wasn't American enough to hold on to their freedom.
Well, let me push you on that. You know, we get a lot of heat for our rhetoric. Is it gotten to the point in this country where we have people inside our country that are almost our political enemies? It's like they don't believe in the country?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I just look at it like this. When you have people inside our education system that want to present pornography to our children, when you have people inside of our government who want to open up our borders and destroy our sovereignty, those folks are enemies to our states, enemies to our children, enemies to our nation. And we need to look at it that way because they're trying to do things that are not only going to destroy our nation and its sovereignty, but they're literally trying to twist the minds of our youth, and we cannot allow that to happen. You know, there are many things that me and folks on the other side of the aisle can agree on, and I want to work with them on those things. But there's some things that there's absolutely no middle ground on. We're just not going to stand for.
So during your speech, you talked about, okay, I'm not running for the Senate because I want to close that door to the federal government and make sure they don't get into my state. Let's talk a little bit about that, why you think it's so important, being involved in the state politics right now.
Because all politics are local. You know, the politician he or she that's closest to your door is going to make the decisions that are going to affect you the most. Yes. Those folks on your school board, those folks on your city council, your county commissioners, those are the folks that are going to determine what type of community that you live in. And so you need to be concerned with that, and we need to get involved. We have a duty as Americans to be involved politically.
Can I jump in, Matt, real quick?
Well, what do you think I'm going to do about it?
Well, I had such a great question for him. I really wanted it to be just our interview, but you know, we included you anyways, Schlapp. But like the other piece of this was medical freedom, which really spoke to me. You know, so many people are frustrated. I don't know how many workers I've talked to that said, I was forced to get the jab. I didn't want to get the jab. I didn't have a choice or I'd lose my job. I mean, where is this going to end with the federal government and some of these really liberal mayors and politicians when it comes to the vaccine mandate?
It doesn't end. It never stops. It never stops. They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. You know, they want to, like one president famously or infamously said once, they want fundamental transformation. And I believe that part of that fundamental transformation is taking away many of the blessed freedoms that we have in this nation. And we just can't lay back and take it anymore. We got to stand up and make sure that freedom exists in every sector, whether it be medical freedom, political freedom, no matter what it is.
Educational freedom.
Educational freedom as well, that's right.
Okay, so I'm not crying yet, so we're going to end this before it could happen. But you are your story's inspirational.
Thank you.
Your mother's story's inspirational.
Yes, sir.
And he's got a great wife too. We love.
He has a great wife. She's right over here.
Do you say that about me too, Schlapp? Or no?
You know, that's for the next segment.
Oh, okay.